If you're like me, you probably enjoy looking at and imagining yourself flying aboard a private jet. But alas, the one thing you lack is either money or the resources to fly on one. You might become depressed believing that it's just one of those things you can only dream of having. While yes, it is a challenge even for the well-off to afford a jet or obtain the resources to own and operate one, however, is it possible to fly on one as a mere commoner? The short answer is yes. How exactly? Stick around to find out. Airlines were once the standard for hospitality, fine dining, common areas, and diversity in aircraft. People in those days couldn't have imagined what the future of air travel would look like. And yes, they most certainly wouldn't have imagined it looking like this. Now, don't get me wrong, there are major advancements in the technology of flight and much more refined airport systems, making it far safer and streamlined. The capabilities of autopilot and reduced fuel consumption are something out of a movie. But the quality of airlines nowadays, for the most part, is less than stellar. Not to mention the airport experience is far from comfortable, invasive, and time-consuming TSA screenings that, by the way, have a 9 in 10 failure rate, which is why I've become far more interested in corporate jets and private jet travel. I've been doing research on the options for private jet travel to answer the question, is it possible to fly private as a mere commoner? The short answer is yes, but you will need to be very flexible. Just as a disclaimer, I'm not an expert, nor am I a financial advisor. All of what I'm saying is either my opinion or based on the research that I've done. So take what I say with a grain of salt and do your own research. Talk to a trusted expert and only pursue these options if you actually understand what you're doing. So in my research, I've narrowed down a few options. The first option is direct ownership, essentially buying the plane as if it were a car. You might be thinking, but don't planes cost millions of dollars? Yes, some of them do. However, as I've been researching, there are some planes that are less than $100K. In fact, there are some planes that cost less than a Tesla. One website I found is tradeaplane.com that has a wide range of aircraft. The prices vary based on seller, aircraft type, and age. I've heard that there are some aircraft that cost less than $20K, but that of course requires lots of research and flexibility. Yes, owning a plane is not cheap, but that doesn't mean it's impossible to have. The second option is fractional ownership, aka a timeshare. In simple terms, it's like roommates splitting rent, but for an airplane. The term timeshare has a negative reputation because of the companies that are dishonest or take advantage of their customers. Unfortunately, that tends to be true with some companies. However, it does depend on the company managing the timeshare. Most aircraft timeshares are managed by charter companies offering a 2-year lease with varying rates and deposits. Some offer rent-to-own options, others offering a temporary lease with the aircraft. Essentially, the airplane is being shared with multiple groups of people, and time is allotted to each person at a certain point throughout the year, like a vacation home. It has its advantages and disadvantages, but it's certainly an option for those who are interested. The third option is crowdfunding or group flights. So I've been told that there are group chats and online forums of people that plan vacations on charter jets and each agree to pitch in a certain amount of money. I haven't been able to verify this for myself, but practically speaking, it is possible. A lot of charter companies split the cost of the flight per passenger, similar to seats on an airline. This reduces the overall cost on one person, and it allows for some flexibility. In order to do this, you'll need a somewhat large group of friends who are all on the same page and willing to pay their fair share and commit to a plan. Bear in mind there are other costs such as ground transportation and lodging, and it will require some compromise and negotiations, and it can be a hot dollar. But this is an option that reduces the overall burden and allows the dream to be within reach and adds some flexibility. The fourth option is private jet club memberships. While having a few similarities to the other options, it's basically a SkyMiles club account, but a bit more expensive. However, the costs do vary based on the company and level of membership. Some offer basic memberships along with all-inclusive memberships. Some offer reduced rates, special discounts, and complimentary services like ground transportation. There are also some that function similar to a SkyMiles account, allowing you to earn and redeem miles. Just like the other options, it does require a hot dollar and some flexibility, but it does offer solutions and can open doors to other possibilities, and it simplifies the process. There are also companies that have partnerships with airlines like Wheels Up and Delta that allow their customers to access the fleet of private aircraft and exclusive benefits for frequent flyers and business travelers. This makes it easier for newcomers and those who plan to use private planes on a regular basis. The fifth option is ferry flights, basically empty flights, sometimes referred to as repo flights, that are simply moving an empty jet to a specific spot for another flight. Some charter companies offer the seats on these flights at a significantly reduced rate to make some extra money. The catch with ferry flights is that there's little to no flexibility and they can be very unpredictable. The flights themselves are at risk. They can be canceled at any time. The routes and the time of departure can vary widely and in some cases are very impractical. On top of that, these fares are often sold at the last minute, which makes it very difficult to plan a well thought out vacation. However, if you have extra time on your hands and can plan accordingly, it is a cheap and sufficient alternative to the other options, particularly if you're just looking for a taste of private jet travel. While this is not an exhaustive list of options and there's advantages and drawbacks to each, it shows that the possibility of flying private is more within reach than one might be led to believe. All in all, I'm hopeful for a future of private jet travel. Until we meet again, thank you for watching, leave a like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you in the next video.